If you follow your nose down Main Street, Woodland, the smell of chow mein and fried rice might just take you inside the Chicago Café Chinese-American restaurant. This little mom-and-pop restaurant is within walking distance of the Yolo County Courthouse, and that's why you'll often find longtime regular and UC Davis law professor Gabriel Jack Chin sliding his fork into the cafe's signature dish during lunch hour.
This is a Chicago combination plate for one, and this is one of their specialties.
Jack, as he likes to be called, first tasted the Chicago combo plate back in 2011 inside one of the restaurant's private booths. It's a seating arrangement that's rarely found anymore.
There were ordinances prohibiting these kinds of private booths, and not very many of them survived.
Over the years, Jack has looked over the menu countless times, but it wasn't until recently that he noticed something.
It's not just a Chinese-American restaurant. It is, I believe, the oldest continuously operating Chinese restaurant in the United States.
Welcome to the Pekin Noodle Parlor, the oldest family-owned Chinese restaurant in America.
Back in 2022, the Pekin Noodle Parlor in Butte, Montana gained a lot of headlines when someone thought it was the nation's oldest Chinese restaurant.
That's Jerry Tam. His great-great-grandfather founded the Pekin Noodle Parlor in Butte, Montana all the way back in 1911.
When Jack saw these headlines about the Pekin noodle, it made him think about the Chicago Café.
The Chicago Café advertises everywhere that they've been open since 1903. 1903.
My grandfather started. My dad here,
Paul Fong and his wife Nancy are the third-generation owners of the Chicago Café.
And my dad right there, all the customer right there, right here cooking.
And if you look around the restaurant, the family's history is displayed like a museum. Out back, there's even a historic plaque marking the location of the old Fong family home, which was once attached to the restaurant.
They clearly have a sense of the history, so they kept some of the old documents, old menus.
By researching the restaurant's old documents and archived newspapers, Jack and a team of UC Davis students were able to find evidence of the restaurant's existence in 1903, but when they looked at records from the city of Woodland, there was almost no mention of the restaurant.
In 1903, 1904, through into the 20s, the business directories for Woodland and Yolo County did not include Chinese residences or Chinese businesses.
Because of the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, discrimination against Asian immigrants across America was widely accepted until the Exclusion Act was repealed in 1943.
It was a series of laws that were designed to restrict Asian immigration to protect white labor.
Restaurants were some of the only businesses under the Exclusion Act that allowed Chinese and Asian immigrants to legally operate a business. It's a topic that Jack discusses in a book he wrote about the history of law and Chinese restaurants.
So this was a place where Asians could work.
So restaurants were kind of like the doorway or the gateway into the United States working here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The Chicago Café may have experienced some discrimination in the past, but you wouldn't know it today.
The food's good. You meet old friends here.
Many of the longtime customers here were practically raised eating the food that Paul and Nancy cooked.
So I would have to walk up the alley after school and come here, and then Mom would get me in that room over there to do if I had any kind of homework.
The Chicago Café is not just a Chinese restaurant. It's a gathering place, a bit of a museum, and the unofficial community trophy case where customers display their taxidermy deer, fish, and even a peacock that someone hit with their car.
So the guy among the bird open the tail like that.
The community loves Chicago Café, and it allowed Paul's grandfather and father to immigrate to America from China. It also allowed Paul and Nancy to provide a better life for their children.
My daughter is the doctor in the Kaiser in the physical therapy. And then my son works in the Apple. They all make good money.
Since 1903, the Fong family has been serving food and the community. But with no kids to take over, the Chicago Café dynasty looks like it could be coming to an end. Are you going to be sad when you leave the place?
No time to. I put tell the music I already. I want to lease out so I can retire.
When the oldest continually operating Chinese restaurant in America does close, there probably will be some tears from customers, but there also will be some laughs from the owners.
The joke is that you work in a Chinese restaurant so your kids don't have to work in a Chinese restaurant. And that worked.
From the Chicago Café in Woodland, I'm John Bartel.